Thanks to our friends at The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Check out the link below, fool.com/the smattering, to get access to the 10 best stocks to buy right now. If you're like a lot of people, you're trying to figure out how to create wealth. You're looking at the calendar. 2023 is going to be that year for you. I'm Jason Hall. This is The Smattering, and I'm going to talk about 3 secrets that honestly, they really even shouldn't be secrets to start building wealth in 2023. I've got Jeff Santoro here with me to talk about it. Hey, Jeff.
How you doing, man? Looking forward to this.
Let's talk about the first secret that's so important to building wealth.
Yeah. So I think the number one thing is just investing for the long term. I used to consider long term to be like maybe 3 to 5 years. I know that that's a commonly used time frame for long-term investing. But interestingly, we had our colleague Brian Withers on our most recent podcast. And when we asked him what his biggest investing lesson was over the time he's been an investor, his answer was that his definition of long-term investing has changed to mean decades. A lot can change in a decade, but also a lot can change with a stock's performance over a decade. And if you look at a stock chart and click on the 10-year return, you'll often see very different results than maybe a 1-year or a 3-year or a 5-year return. So to me, like the number one secret is really just investing for the long term, but long term means a long time.
I love that. And there's a couple things there I want to kind of circle back around to. Number one, you talked about how things can change a lot over a decade, but the reality is it's when you think about those long periods of time that the true compounders emerge. It's when those companies prove out their durable competitive advantages and generate those powerful cash flows, that's when you win. The other part of this I think is important is that it's a reminder by focusing on the long term, you don't get caught up in chasing stock prices. You don't get caught up chasing the latest or investing fad, and you focus on the importance of the businesses themselves. And that is a massive separator and differentiator for me. Jeff, let's move on to our second secret for creating wealth. And this is, to me, this is so important, especially right now, being willing and kind of embracing investing in down markets.
And it ties exactly to what you just said, where if you're focusing on strong businesses and you have a portfolio of high conviction, strong businesses, then you really should be embracing, to use the word you use, which I think is a good way to think of it, investing in down markets. And I would add to that, just thinking of yourself as a net buyer of stocks, right? I am someone who buys stocks continually. And the thing that I think about all the time with this is I've been investing in my retirement account for 22 years now, since I had my first job out of college. And before I was ever picking my own stocks or really paying attention to it other than receiving the quarterly statement in the mail, I sort of have learned over those 20 plus years that without even thinking about it or trying, because it just comes out of my paycheck every 2 weeks, I bought at market highs and I bought at market lows. And when I would get those statements where my portfolio was up significantly over 3 months, it was because of all the purchases I made maybe a year or 2 or 3 or 5 ago when the market was down and I was getting lower cost bases on those index funds or whatever I was invested in. So that helped me as a stock picking investor that I am now to sort of remember that it's these lower points where I'm going to get a better cost basis on these individual stocks that I have high conviction in, so that when we hit the next bull run, I'll look back and say, I'm really glad I bought, stock X at that price back in 2022.
Being willing to be a net contributor and to buy through these down parts of the cycle is a massive way you can win. And Jeff, that brings me to our third secret to building wealth. And that's not even just being comfortable with, but fully embracing volatility, because that's a reality. If you're going to build wealth, equities, investing in the stock market is a key way to do that. And part of the price of admission is holding assets that the price swings are going to happen.
And I think, to me, the key there is making sure that the money you have invested in the market is money you don't need for a long time. As I live through now in 2022, and I saw my portfolio go down just like a lot of people did, I got comfort knowing that I don't need this money for 10, 15, 20 plus years. And I think as I approach retirement age, I'll think differently about what I own and how much and what types of things I own. But right now, I am comfortable with the volatility because, as you pointed out, it's those volatile companies that sometimes can give you, you'll have outsized losses in a downturn, but you'll have outsized gains in a bull market.
Yeah, one of the key ways for me that I've been able to find the way to embrace it is moving beyond looking at my portfolio and thinking about that as money, looking at the names of the companies and thinking about the business that I own. And the reality is that if you look at in these downturns, you can find opportunities and you don't have to find hidden, highly volatile, little tiny companies that are high risk to take advantage of the volatility in these opportunities. There's near-term worries. We know that. There's a lot of concern about the housing market, rising interest rates, recession. These are near-term problems. Patient investors willing to embrace the volatility have come out way ahead for being willing to just kind of ride it out.